Good evening. Happy New Year. Welcome to the January 4th, 2022 meeting of Glens Falls Planning Board. We begin this evening's meeting with the discussion and approval of the minutes of the December 7th, 2021 Planning Board meeting.
No comment.
Mr. Hall?
All good.
No comment. No comment.
I have none either. Therefore, I'll make a motion to Glens Falls Planning Board hereby approves the minutes from the December 7th, 2021 meeting as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Under new business, this is actually carried over from the December meeting. Site plan review 21-0048, Matt Hummel, contract vendee of James Hayward, owner of 199 201 Warren Street, is seeking approval to construct a two-story addition to the existing building for use as commercial storage and offices at this location. Pursuant to City Code Chapter 220, Section 220-C, Part 15, this application requires the planning board review and approval. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Yes, sir.
Please step to the microphone, state your name and relationship to the application.
Good evening, I'm Matt Hummel. I'm the contract vendee for the purchase of 199-201 Warren Street.
Thank you. Before we begin our review, is there anything you care to say, add?
Sure. Based upon the last meeting that we attended here, I made some revisions to the plan, showing some plantings, the tree, arborvitaes. There's a lighting picture indicating the proposed lighting, and some parking spaces for the addition that were not included on the original plan.
Very good. That it?
Yep.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that care to comment on this application? No. We'll proceed with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
I believe the board's previous concerns have been covered. Otherwise, I've got no comment.
Very good, thank you. I had no comments from the city engineer or the fire chief, so we'll proceed with under the planning board. Start here with Ms. Andrews.
No comments. Looks good.
Thank you.
No questions or comments?
Thank you.
Mr. Hall.
Matt, I appreciate you coming back and taking the stuff that we had. Everything looks good. I think you addressed all the things that we talked about. I'm good with it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. I have nothing else to add.
Thank you.
No comments.
Thank you.
I have none either.
Thank you.
Last month, Attorney Fitzgerald had classified this as a Type 2 seeker. No review is required. Just so the record is clear, I would classify it as a Type 2. It's construction or expansion of a primary or accessory structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and does not involve a change in zoning or a use variance. Therefore, no further action is required by this board.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That said, I make a motion, the Glens Falls Planning Board acting as the board of site plan review hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Matt Hummel, contract vendee of James Hayward, for the project located at 199 to 201 Warren Street, as presented at the meeting of 4 January 2022. No additional conditions or requests. Have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All set.
Okay, thank you, everybody, appreciate your time.
Thanks again, man.
Okay.
Good luck. Okay, the next item is site plan review 21-0049, Tina Nail and Spa. Contract then be of Donald Holtz, owner of tax map.
Hi everybody, Happy New Year. I'm not Chinese, this is with my English. Okay, thank you.
Tax map section 09.12, block 2, lot 1, commonly known as 149 South Street, is seeking approval to open a nail salon and spa on the first floor and an apartment on the second floor at this location. Pursuant to City Code, Chapter 220, Section 220-18C, Subpart 19, this application requires planning board review and approval, and you are,
他说两听到
Yeah.
state your name and relationship to the application.
Okay. My name is Wang Gao. She is my aunt, so I'm her nephew.
Okay,
Thank you.
and you're the owner?
Yeah, she is the owner of the.
Very good. Before we begin our review, is there anything you care to add or discuss regarding your application?
没有这个可以给我看吗？
Yeah.
要求
Now we don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll proceed then with our architectural, actually, let me back up. Are there any members of the public who care to comment on this application? If not, we'll proceed with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
The application doesn't indicate any exterior changes, to the side of the building, and therefore I have no comment about that. My only question was if the existing parking is going to remain between the building and the street. It's a GC2. Does that need to be approved by the board since it's a change in use from residential to business?
Can address parking and do your site plan review. Is there, how many parking spots?
Okay. Since there really isn't a site plan with this,
No.
I don't know how to evaluate this. What are your thoughts?
Well, typically your site plan application comes with a drawing and a description of the parking spots, especially when you're going to be having a business use as well as the residential. So unless the applicant can answer questions regarding the parking and how many parking spots there's going to be, I'm not sure the board can act on this without that information.
Oh yeah, we also have a question. So, my aunt asked about there is a land near the apartment, I think. So she wants to know if we can use that land for parking place. Is the land for private owns the land, or the government owns the land. So if we could buy that, if we want to open a new like nail spa,
Does that property go with this property? Is it part of it? Or
I don't think
这是我的房子边上有一块
yeah that land is yeah is consistent with the other land the apartment, yeah. So I don't think when we buy the apartment, we also buy the land. That's apart, separate, I think.
Right, so that doesn't go with the apartment?
Yeah, and we want to ask if we could use that land for parking place.
It would have to be part of the property that you're buying. So we can't approve parking on
它
another
那个
parcel
房子边上有一
for an
这我真的
application.
不说。
Just don't know. Because what happens, let's just say you require 5 parking spots, and you're relying on that, and you don't own it, and we said, okay, then further down the road, the owner of that property sells it or says, hey, you can't park here anymore.
That,
And then,
that piece of property between Colts and Murray Street is owned by Adirondack Imaging. Because when we were looking at doing the expansion for that building, so that piece of property that's in between the building you're looking at and Murray Street is actually owned by Adirondack Imaging, the X-ray and MRI place that's right around the corner from you. They own all of that property down through there.
Oh, who are they? Are they does private person you own that?
It's a company. Yes.
Oh, it's a company. So,
Yep.
oh, okay.
Yep.
他说那个公司有个公司已经拥有了这
So
个
it's-
那个土地了。
And
哦哦
Adirondack Imaging, did they
他们问你就是
No.
就是
Well, they may have.
Just
I don't
make
know.
sure
They
you
were
don't
looking
do
at,
this.
they were looking at purchasing that whole area, but
啊，它是有个公司已经
Right.
那个地有了，之后想
I
问
think
全
they're
是
still in there. They have another
所以
house.
你
Oh, they have
要
another
这个
house.
所以我是把我的车库扒掉，车库那几个车库扒掉所以是，他那个公司
所以你想让顾客在哪停车呀？
就是把车库扒掉吗？我们这边是跑，
Plans for
就
that.
是那个
我的房子边有个车库，
That's
哦
not-，
会把车库扒掉的和后边那个院儿，整个拆开，整个那个都拆开。但是隔壁那块有块地嘛，它是有个公司已经买的，对吧？如果别的公那个要没有买，要政府就撤。对。
所以没告诉他。
对，但是他说现在还没买，别的公司现在也不在买。
他说会告诉，会先告诉你。
我跟你告诉你说，我们要开店了，会把车库扒掉和后我们要
但是我说
就车纯车房子。
I think that there are a number of questions here.
Okay.
When you submit this application, you need to submit a plan similar to this, showing the building, parking spaces.
Oh, so the parking space, my aunt plans to use, the place, near, I mean, she owns, but it's nearest the house, that she wants to use for parking lot.
Okay, but you need to have some drawings to support that,
Oh.
something we can look at and evaluate. We're not being, hard on it, it's just, this is a site plan, and that's what this application is for.
不是，他说你需要有一个完整的。
You could talk with the code enforcement, the Office of Code Enforcement, if you have questions on the site plan. And, or you can talk to me, my number's available.
It would show things like parking, what you plan to have for lights as a business, signage, any change in the driveway, wherever it is now.
Also, we need a more detailed,
And
drawing,
it would
right?
be your neighbors identified and that kind of thing.
Okay,
要不拿个地图给他。
对，要更详细的一个图。
OK。
So additionally, you should let us know how many employees you intend to have,
Okay.
how many people occupying the building.
那他们有什么具体的车位必须保证多少车位有什么要求？
Is there any requirements for the parking lot?
Yes.
Yes.
有什么规定？
Could you please tell me the requirements?
You can get all that by coming to my office. I'm making a list now as they speak.
Okay,
It's online, Hvac, I gave you a copy of it.
okay, okay. Good, thank you.
So,
Under the businesses, one space per 200 square feet plus one space per employee is considered a retail business.
Absolutely.
And that's under 220-26, the schedule.
if you see Mr. Vanderzee, he'll walk you through and if you need me.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it's one space per 200 for personal services.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at retail business and personal services,
Personal service,
same
one,
as retail business.
yeah, one space for every 200 square feet of floor area plus one
One
space
space
per employee.
Employee.
And then the apartments would be 1.5 spaces per residential unit.
so
But
who
it's-
did you have?
It's in the residential, it's in the zoning code for the city, and again, that's something that you can get from Chris.
Okay, thank you. I'll be.
那不是隔壁的那个临时需要干什么？是不是？
Okay, I'll make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board tables, site plan review 21-0049, Tina Nail and Spot, contract vendor of Downco, pending the submission of additional required information to support the site plan review process.
Okay.
You concur? You okay with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. So, you understand,
Yeah, yeah.
get together with Mr. Vanderzee, you know where his office is,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
he'll walk you through it.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yep.
Okay. The next item is site plan review 21-0050, Hudson Headwater South Network, owner of tax map numbers 309.7 to extend at 8 and 309.7 to extend at 33. Commonly known as 38 Rose Street and 29 to 31 Southwest Avenue respectively, is seeking approval to construct a medical office facility at this location. Pursuant to City Code Chapter 220, Section 220-15, Subpart 1, this application requires planning board review and approval. And for the record, I will be recusing myself from this application as I am the property owner adjacent to this on the north side of Norfolk. So, Mr. Paul, will chair the meeting.
Good evening. If you could state your names for the record and so that Zoe can get that information for us and we'll
Sure. So, Chris Turnier, I'm the CFO for Hudson Headwater.
Mike Rousseau with Engineering Ventures, Civil Consulting.
Mark DiCursetti, Engineering Ventures, Civil Consulting.
I'm Carrie Spitz. I'm with SMRT, Architectural Designer.
Mike Gord, SMRT Architects and Engineer. I'm an architect.
Great, thank you. We have received all of the information that you sent in and provided for us, and we appreciate that. I will say that based on the number of years that I've been here and worked on this board, and I think the rest of you can concur, this is probably the most complete set of review drawings that we've gotten in quite some time. So I do appreciate all of the information that was sent, and I do appreciate the fact that they were sent in a smaller scale. Thank you very much. So Chris, I'll let you go ahead and
Sure.
explain the project to us.
So, recap the project. We've owned the property for many years with the hope of building a replacement health center for primary care from our Broad Street facility. We've outgrown that, and really we want to use it primarily for urgent care, so we would transfer the primary care over to the facility. Also linked to the facility is what's called a PACE program, or program for elderly care, really. And that's more or less related to patients who are eligible for skilled nursing facility, and that's called PACE. It's a government program. And so we would like to link those together because those folks who would be eligible for PACE will be heavy utilizers of the medical service. So it fits nicely from that standpoint. So again, we've been planning this for some time, and it's certainly presented numerous times to the board, and so we're here, I think, getting close to I guess I'd describe it as brass tacks. I know there's been a review, architectural review, and there's some questions there, which is why we have everyone here to address. So we're excited about this. It's been a long time coming, and we're looking to the future.
Great, thank you very much.
I'll just take a couple minutes to explain the site plan, the high points of the site plan. So, as Chris said, it's two uses of the building, or two sections of the building. We have the MOB, which is on the west side of the building, which is about 17,400 square feet in size. And on the east side of the building is the PACE Center. It's all one building, one single story. The PACE side is a little bit more than 14,300 square feet, with a total building size of 31,800 square feet. There's four principal entrances to the building. For the MOB, the main entrance is here, and then there's a second entrance on the west side. For the PACE facility, there's an entrance facing LaRose, and then an employee entrance further north along that edge of the building. There's one door in the back for an outdoor space. I'll touch on that in a couple minutes. Parking-wise, we're proposing 160 spaces. I think per code we're required, 159, so we provided 160. Included that was, of course, accessible parking. We're also proposing 12 EV charging station locations. Kind of evenly split. We have 6 on the west side and 6 on the east side. There's 4 outdoor spaces, and what the design team has really spent a lot of time working with an award-winning landscape architect, Wagner Hodgson. They won a lot of awards for their innovative and very detailed design of outdoor spaces. So there's 4 spaces that are proposed for the building that will be used by patients, staff, and visitors, and for providers. There's one space in the back of the building. Again, there's one door on this whole facade that only exits out there for consideration to the neighbors. We have an outdoor space at the one employee entrance here. Another outdoor space, this one is more dedicated towards patients and visitors, and then a larger one on the MOB in this area. So they're going to be highly decorated, detailed, very calming spaces for visitors to use if receiving bad news or just to prepare for their visit. So they're going to be stressed that they're going to be very nice outdoor spaces. The rest of the site will be well vegetated with plants and landscaping, taking care to incorporate and make a very nice setting, not just a parking lot with a building in the background. It's going to be all together. Visually it should be a pretty striking facility between the building architecture, which Mike and his team will explain in a minute, and our landscape architecture that we put into the thought we put into the site design. One of the things that we're mixing together were curbs and flat or smooth transition areas just to take care of snow removal. I know that's a concern in the city. So any of these areas where you see the dark lines here, this is all dedicated space for snow removal, so it's at the outer edges of the site, so where we push the snow to that, and that's a very important facility need for Hudson Headwaters that we've addressed on the site. So all these transitions from the asphalt to the edge is flush, and we have a gravel edge to help protect the edge of the pavement and push the snow to, and then those areas are outside of our stormwater, so we're not piling snow in the stormwater areas, will be outside of those primary infiltration areas, which I'll touch on in a minute. Dumpster enclosure that we propose is at this corner of the site, so that'll be used to service the whole site. We coordinated with the fire chief on the height of the building and the need for a fire lane in the back of the building, so we have a single fire lane that's 20 feet wide that ends here. So we worked with him based on his apparatus that he has and his need for getting onto the building. So he signed off on that driveway access to the back. We also coordinated with the city engineer based on sewer. So we're bringing sewer out of the east side of the building to LaRose. There's an 8-inch line that travels north and then down Column Street. Water service is a 12-inch line in Southwestern Avenue, so our water room, our utility room for water and gas and electric is in this corner of the building, so it's a short run out to the 12-inch line out there. The fire chief also asked us to include some hydrants because for access, there are hydrants close by, but for access for them to bring hoses to the building was tough. So we were adding a hose on this island and, a hydrant on this island and a hydrant on this island to give him additional access to hydrants in case of fighting fires.
I'm assuming the building is sprinklered?
Yep.
So there'll be a fire hook up there as well?
Correct. Yeah, I think there's 2 Siamese twins. Three. Yeah. So we also coordinated with National Grid. National Grid is having us take power from the west side of Southwestern in this location, coming across, enter our transformer here, primary transformer, and enter the building. We're also going to have our EV charging station transformer here, and there's also one by the dumpster. And we have a backup generator that's located along with the rest of the equipment that's similar in use. Stormwater-wise, this was a challenging site. High groundwater table, it's basically a bowl. So a lot of our basins, as you can notice when you look at the plan, are very shallow. So they're almost ubiquitous to the site. The one basin we do have is a little bit deeper, is a basin out here at LaRose. That storm basin should not see any stormwater, except for something greater than a 25-year storm.
Yeah, basically anything starting with about a 50-year storm, which is about 5 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. So.
Yeah, so there's an existing 36-inch line that travels this way across the traverses the site. So our discharge point is into that 36-inch line. So we're utilizing infiltration basins throughout the site. So that's our first rooftop drains, parking lot runoff, runs to the infiltration basins. Infiltration basins. We're infiltrating as much as we can, and then for the larger storms, that'll be pushed. Any overflow we push to this slightly deeper basin, but it's going to be similar infiltration and discharge to the 36-inch line. So it shouldn't see any water during the course of 90% of the year, except for those very large, intense storms, and then it should dissipate quickly as it empties out into the 36 line. So that's all I have for the site plan. I'll turn it over to Mike and his team to just talk a little about the architecture.
Yeah, just real quick on the landscape architecture side, if anybody's curious, this firm just completed Burlington City Hall Park in Burlington, Vermont. So if you Google it, you get an idea of kind of the quality of their design. And this was a key component to our design, so we made sure we wanted to bring the right firm to our team. And I'm really excited about the outdoor spaces and working with Hudson Headwaters and the importance of that and the tie to the Adirondacks. I think the spaces are going to be really great to be in. Carrie's just going to walk through some of the views of the building and materials.
Yeah, So from the beginning of the design of this project, we wanted to make sure we incorporated into the residential community. The materials that we're using are really inspired more Adirondack styles for it. We have some fiber cement siding, using some more panels that are bringing up warmth of the community, and the stone around all the bases for when you drive through are all local materials to the upstate New York, the stone. Also, if you go around the building, we have very big open views to bring light into the space, and we have the stone continuing even on the inside of the building, and you can see that we have a fireplace and a chimney running through the whole interior of the space, which brings back that Adirondack stone into the building. We've made sure to have a muted color palette, everything kind of blend into the community, not be jarring at all. And then also on the exterior of the building, we made sure any signage is minimal, and the branding is pretty classic and timeless throughout the building.
So if you go to the board. So the top image shows the Pace day room. So we wanted to kind of have like a Adirondack kind of gray camp kind of feel to it on the backside. Also the importance of how that space interacts with the neighbors behind us. We really wanted to, you know, a lot of times on buildings people ignore the back. We really wanted to focus on doing quality design on all sides of the elevation, because there essentially is no back to this building.
So I'm sorry, that's your north facing?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. You good there?
Can I just ask a question right now? That's the back in my property. So you're showing some beautiful trees.
Excuse me,
but what
Ms. Weber.
I can't talk, okay, sorry.
No, you can. I'm gonna open up,
I'll ask you
open up
after.
the public comment, but can you come up and state your name for the record, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Tina Weber.
Stop. Hi, guys, they all know me. Hi, my name is Tina Weber, I live at 16 James Court.
Thank you.
That's my house right there, that you don't see. Well, I just want, before we move on, I just want to say, what you put in on page L2000, whatever, you know, I just got it today, so I only have 2 pages, so you're lucky. It says you're only putting in Miss Kim's lilacs and they're gonna be 8 to 10 feet. You're gonna put them in every 4 feet, and I'm kind of curious what the size is, because I can tell you that's not a lilac.
Yeah,
So this
that's
is just
an
a rendering.
that's an
That's a-
rendering.
I understand. Okay, it's just that for a rendering, I know what it looks like. And it says the height is only going to be 8 to 10 feet. And if we're going to put a 8-foot fence, then I have it see it.
Yeah.
Okay, just a, I'm open to that.
No, I mean, right now we do have a fence along that property line.
Actually runs the entire, the back property line right there.
And we have it right now at the 6-foot height.
At 6 foot?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was a question that had come up, because 6 foot is the maximum allowed by code. An 8-foot fence would require a variance.
Yep.
From,
We're
okay,
aware of that.
all right. So I knew that was one of the questions, and I think that's one of the questions.
Depending on the pages in your thing, it says 8 foot or 6 foot too.
Yep.
There
So-
is some pages in there that say it's 8 foot, and a couple other where it's referenced 6 feet.
The intention is 6 foot at this point.
The intention is 6 foot, but I had a meeting and they said that they would go with 8 foot if we could get a variance.
If we can get
Yeah, we get the variance.
Yeah, I think that the city had,
Because you have to go for architect review
yes,
or zone file.
yeah, I think the intention is I think the intention is to ask for a variance for 8 foot,
Right.
after site plan approval.
Okay, we can go on. I figure if I wait till the end, it's just.
Approve it with a 6 foot with the intention of later on asking for a variance for 2 feet.
Correct.
So So when the board is approving this tonight, it's a 6 foot.
I don't think the board can approve it. It has to go to Pace.
We're asking for it to be approved at 6 feet.
6 feet, right?
No, I'm saying it can't be approved tonight because
We're
you
asking
have to
for it
go.
to be approved at 6 feet, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
No, that's not it. The Pace Center is not in, under code professional. That would have to go to be approved.
The Pace Center is agricultural.
No, the code officer has determined that this project fits in the definition of cultural professional as an office. And if you read the definition of office, it is a room or group of rooms used for conducting the affairs of a business, profession, service, industry, or government. And the code, that's at 220-4, and later on it defines professional office to include the field of medicine. So our code officer has determined that this project meets the definition of cultural professional.
That's correct.
Just so that I understand, is the PACE section residential?
No.
It's a day program. It's a day program.
program.
Okay, I just wanted to get clear on that.
And John, if you just could state your name for the record too, please.
John Locker, attorney for Hudson Water Sons.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to comment?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
I have a number of questions. So, no variance required for the Pace Center, right?
Correct.
Okay.
As determined by our code officer.
Okay. The exterior lighting, is that all, those all downcast fixtures? My primary concern is in the northwest corner, that's my residence, you can't see it there. Yeah, it's up right above there, thank you. But, that, I'll call it patio for now,
This one right
the
here.
lighting there, and any on the back of the building, that's all downcast. I looked at the lighting, intensity drawings, and it appears that all of that, there's no fugitive light, so to speak.
Yeah, I think there was,
There's a slight canopy around the perimeter, and it's downlights built into the canopy.
Thank you.
yeah, I think that, like you're alluding to the photometric plan showed
Yep.
0 at the property line.
Right, because, not that it matters to you, I have a problem with a couple of adjacent properties. The one on the south side, the lights on that building, before my tenure, were approved, they shine into my residence and Ms. Weber's. And then on the back side of my property, there's doctors off Klein and Boyd, and their lights shine in, and I never made a big deal. They're good neighbors, so. Not sure how they got by me, I was on the board for 10 days. So you answered my question.
Well, also, the city is undertaking to review the exterior lighting requirements in the code. We have the code officer, myself, and the building and codes committee. We have draft language to amend the code, which includes exterior lighting to make sure there is no light trespass onto other parcels, neighboring parcels.
Okay, air handling equipment, I think I missed it. Where is it located?
I don't have this one, but we do have air handling units that are hidden on either side of the building, and we have parapet walls around the perimeter.
We've also tried to put them in the gables.
Yep.
So it's all up on the roof, there's no
Yeah.
ground mounted.
Correct. And we've tried to conceal those again because of the adjacent neighborhood.
Sure, and so my concern is more noise as opposed to visual. So,
That should help with noise too, because they're gonna be in the spaces up in the gable, majority of them. I think there's one, right, that's kinda out
Yeah, but it has partitions on
on
either
the
side.
side, on the side. So, we don't have a roof.
yeah, I'd like to see that roof plans, you know,
Yeah.
and little information on the sound decibels, that sort of
Sure.
thing.
Okay.
Thank you. The dumpster, that's gonna be down the southeast corner, and that has an enclosure.
Full closure, matching the fence, so.
What, and you may not know this, my only concern there, and I share this with my neighbor share with me, is pickup times, you know. There is an ordinance in the city, I think,
There is.
that,
There is, we addressed, or you guys can, I made it 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, okay.
That's treated as residential for their garbage pickup.
Okay, thank you. The emergency generator, does that have sound attenuating panels and stuff? Is that, or, let me ask this. When are that'll exercise periodically? Is that once a month, once every 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, I understand it is periodically exercised to.
Right,
run
when?
correctly.
What's the frequency? You don't know? That's okay.
I mean, in the past, it's been like a month, once a month, sometimes it's every couple months.
Based on the size of it.
Size.
More importantly, when would that exercise? And you can set that.
Correct.
So I prefer, and I think the neighbors prefer, if it's later in the day, midday,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter so much, but as long as it's not 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do that.
Makes
No,
it
no, we'll set it to
Yeah.
something, you know, that
reasonable.
reasonable, yes.
Okay, thank you. Snow removal and storage, we already discussed that. The only problem with that, I can't do much about it, is the hours that occurs, because the size of that, you probably would use, and I don't think you'd rely just on pickup trucks, maybe larger equipment, maybe. And again, it's the noise component of that, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you guys use for snow removal. Grasshopper services?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's,
So they are using it.
They have smaller.
Small trucks.
They have plows, pickup trucks.
Yeah, I just don't, I prefer not to be awakened at 2 or 3 in the morning with backup alarms, buckets and stuff crashing around.
yeah, I guess I would anticipate it would be just a normal residential plowing that you would hear.
Right,
in the
it's
neighborhood.
gonna occur obviously before your hours of operation.
It's gonna happen when snow happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are not cars in the parking lot. It's the same as any
Well,
other.
it'll occur when the snow happens, but you can control when you remove it. If it snows 5 inches at 10 o'clock at night, that's okay. If it's 2 in the morning, you wanna do it before, obviously, your parking lot is filled. And that ties into the other question I had. What are your hours of operation or hours and days?
Yeah, I don't think, I actually don't think we've actually determined that, but our typical hours of operation, and remember, we're moving this from, Broad Street, which is urgent care, which has expanded hours to just being primary care. But I would think they would be, you'd probably start seeing, employees arrive around 7. We'd probably open the doors around 8, and then it's 4:35, 5 o'clock, somewhere in that range.
For both facilities?
Both, yeah.
Basin.
And again, they're not set, but it would, you know, based on my understanding, it would probably be something like
Right,
that.
well, at some point, you need to set them, and I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That, I call it patio on the north side. In reviewing the drawings, I didn't see any door for that. They're all labeled, I think, 5 or something.
Yeah, that's what.
Roll these out. You didn't see the door, I was just curious.
There's one door right
it shows that they're all windows, I couldn't find a door either.
There's one on the side.
Yeah, 'cause we wanted to accentuate the view, so we put the doors to the side.
So
So that you're looking out.
This is all glass.
It's all glass, the
Mooring
doors
is
on
right
the
on the
side.
side. It's a single.
That's fine. That wasn't a concern, I was just more curious what the area is used for.
It'll be used, again, it's on the north side, so it'll be used probably more in the summer, but also having some movable kind of garden planters type things for the participants to utilize. Again, the north side isn't as advantageous because of the weather, so the south space is gonna be used a lot more.
But that's for patients,
It's for the
It's for the
PACE
PACE
participants.
Yeah, the PACE participants, so it's, you know, it's not a residential program, but it's a day program.
Right.
So people, you know, they'll be able to go in and, you know, if they wanna go outside and, you know, have a sandwich, they'll be able to do that.
And this, I would imagine, so this is a non-smoking facility?
Yeah, all our facilities are.
Okay.
That was one of my questions. Where is everyone gonna smoke?
They have to leave the premise. We do not have any, I mean, we're healthcare, so we don't have any smoking in any of our facilities. You know, people often get in their car and they drive when that happens. So,
Okay, my next is, more of a selfish item. Item B1 on drawing C-100, and it also is item C6 on drawing C200. The existing chain link fence is 7 to 8 feet inside your property. I understand it's your property, but I just wonder what the need is to remove that fence. And, you know, take the rest of your property, so to speak. It just, if you're gonna put that fence.
you're talking on the north side?
On the north side, yeah,
I think I have the answer, but I'll let you guys do.
I'm not, which fence are we talking
Right.
about?
There's an existing fence.
D1, if you go to D1 on drawing C100 calls for the removal, that's the demolition drawing. And then, C6 on drawing C200, that's where it talks about the 8-foot or 6-foot, whatever the fence is. So, again, where the existing chain link fence is inside your property, and then of course you put a new one in, it's further into my yard, although it's your property. And my
Yeah,
neighbor.
I understand, yeah, so, I guess is to utilize as much space, I guess, for the property,
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you superimpose the existing one on there.
I also think it's the fire line.
Yes.
There's some grading associated with the height of the floor, that finished floor is there, that we would need to take down just the grade there anyway to get this area to drain in the back. We don't want to create a situation where we are actually pushing water onto these properties to the north. So we're actually draining it, it's not shown on this plan, but there are storm catch basins back here, and we're pushing the water that funnels it to the different areas on the site. So all that, when you get into the grading off the fire lane.
In order to get your infrastructure, and that fence is gonna have to come out, right?
Correct.
I think that,
Yeah, and the proposed fence is, you know, it's kind of like a kind of friendly neighbor fences, they look the same from both sides, right? So it's a cedar, nice cedar fence, 6 foot tall, it's, should be a little bit nicer to look at than chain link.
I'm more concerned with that little strip, but like I said, it's your property, but.
Understood.
In the back, right there, you have on C202, there's an 18-inch basin. I'm sorry, I really don't, sometimes I pick it up. But there's an 18-inch basin right there that's gonna be draining it right now. I have to say that is literally when you move the line, you're gonna be 10 feet from my basement there. So is that water gonna be, that's gonna take the water off the roof, correct?
Actually, there is no roof going to that. The roofs are going to roof drains. This is just taking surface runoff off the fire lane.
Isn't
Right
it
there.
the roof for the, it's the roof of the, that patio?
For the patio, yes. Sorry, for the stone
Correct,
patio.
because that's right where the basin is right next to it, shows I
But-
think it shows a downspout there.
Yeah, actually, there are downspouts for that roof right there that are bringing it, that are being piped into that catch basin right there. Right now, like I said, runoff is kind of coming from the north down there, that basin is intended to be, we're gonna set a low spot right there. And so everything, we're actually we'll most likely be improving the situation back there. Again, it's hard to tell, but.
I built my house 34 years ago and have never had one drop of water in my basement. It's finished, it's never had, I'm just want you to be aware that I'm like going, ooh, that's awful close. Are they gonna take storm water from the roof too? I know you have to displace the water on the ground, but if you're bringing that storm water or the rainwater down off there and into that, is it gonna be able to handle it?
Yes, we have calculations in our stormwater report to show that this is able to carry a 100-year storm event, so that everything, basically, so, and like I said, it's a very small area that's actually getting to that. Those are just because with everything going on in the back, we would like to do that with surface draining, obviously, but it's hard to do that. So those are just emergency, and we had to set those spots out there. So, yes, the intent is to make sure that nothing gets onto the northern property.
And to go back to the lighting, that patio lighting, it starts at, 0.3 and goes to, when it gets to the building, 10.0. And I know I only know a little bit, so, I get dangerous. But that's depending on how high it is from the ground. So, correct? I mean, that's basic. So at 10.0, that's pretty bright for, you're actually gonna be on my deck, which you guys can all come over. I'd love to have you all over so you can see. But so that building right there, doesn't it say 10.0? Right.
It's hard to see on this plan.
Well, you want my phone, because that's how I had to do it. But it goes
I see it right there, yes.
It
right
goes
in
to
the back.
10.0.
It's actually right here.
Right, yeah, that's.
Directly under where the light
Yes,
itself is.
yeah, so the down light would be in a spot
So,
on the ground at that point.
I can't figure out from 0.3, 0.3 to 10 point, what amount is that? Is that like enormous? I mean, am I gonna be looking like this out in my backyard?
No,
Well,
it's really minimal.
And what are the hours? I mean, these lights aren't on 24/7.
It's not 24/7.
This is only lights during your hours of operation?
Right. Yeah.
So those would be turned off in the evening?
And for employees to leave.
Correct. So I mean, if they're shut off by 7 o'clock at night, you're pretty much out, everybody's pretty much out of the building by that time, right?
Right.
And then it would just be minimal parking lot lighting at that.
That's right.
All right, okay. I didn't know if we're gonna be looking at.
To answer Ms. Weber's question, the standard for parking lots is a minimum of 0.5. So 0.3 is even less than that. And I think you would find 0.5 is a minimum for concerns, safety, for instance, and visual.
Right, I know, but it gets to 0.10 at the building.
Well, that's
10.
a different situation.
Okay.
I just wanted to make you aware of what some standards refer to.
Okay, thank you.
Let me finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Sorry.
we're jumping back and forth and trying to, it's like herding kittens.
I only have a couple more. Did you submit a SWIP for this?
Yes, we did.
I went to the city engineer.
I believe so, yes.
It was included in the package.
There's 2 copies included in
Yeah,
the
full
package.
SWIP report was prepared.
They got it. You got it?
No, they do.
City engineer?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And, that's about it. That access road, I noticed you have a nominal curve there.
Oh, it's right here.
So that my only concern is people driving up and down there for whatever reason, you never know.
Yeah, the amount of a curb was there, we placed an amount of a curb there to discourage people from going up there, and we even considered putting a chain across it at some point.
Well, that was,
There's also signage there too.
Fire department, that's not uncommon for them. They carry bolt cutters, they don't mess with the thing. I'm serious, if they have to get into the place. We had a gate there with a lock on it, we just stuck a lock. I'm hoping we never have to, but,
You said that is signage
Yeah, right
as
now we're trying to.
emergency access only or something?
Yeah, so right now it's a signed
authorized vehicles only right now.
And then
or-
it's got multiple
And
curb
it's got a
discourage.
mountain curve, so the way
Yeah.
they drive it over.
Yeah, I mean, somebody can drive it or not, but it's there to discourage that.
Correct. Okay. Mr. Bruno, is that all of your questions?
That does it for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Weber, have we answered all of your questions?
You have,
Okay.
except for, are they taking all my neighbors' trees down besides mine?
On any, I don't believe.
Because when it says it on there, it says removal of this many trees and this many trees, but it doesn't show, technically it doesn't show taking any of my trees down or my neighbor's great big 10 feet tree, or
The ones to the
ones on the road street.
On the northeast road, right?
It does not, it doesn't look like, according to it doesn't look like according to the landscaping plan that I'm looking at, the existing trees are there to remain.
Yeah.
And they are being greatly intensified.
No.
Yes?
There's a point there that, yeah, but when you read that, go to the other thing where it tells you how many. They're, Matt Combs trees,
Yeah,
the ones that are 100 feet.
it shows both of those as to remain.
Oh, are we talking about the trees on LaRose?
Yeah.
So we've gone to great lengths to protect those trees and to bring all of our infrastructure away from
No,
the
no,
trees outside.
not on the road.
Okay.
On the corner,
That's,
the Combs property.
that property line on the north, right there, where your finger is, right there. There are a number of large pine trees there, I mean large.
And they're actually shown on drawing L201 as to remain.
Yep, these two right here.
Yeah, our intent was to maintain all the mature trees along the road, and we've gone to, like I mentioned just now, we're going to great lengths to pull back all our infrastructure not to get into the drip line of those trees.
And having gone through and looked at, and I will say, to your credit, looking at the landscape plan, I didn't do a complete count. I got up around 150 or so, and I stopped counting. That's significantly more landscaping than we see for most commercial projects. You know, I mean, in looking at this landscaping plan, and every circle represents some kind of landscaping material. It certainly looks as though, and my notes that I wrote on here are good screening to the north. It looks like it's a significant amount of screening that's been placed along that property line, as well as that fence that's along that property line. And your detail of that fence looked like it was, as you said, it's almost a two-sided fence, cedar type fence. Yeah, with the slats and stuff on it. So,
No, that's just around the dumpster.
Oh, it's the same.
It's intended to be the same.
Same fence.
The same
Oh,
fence.
it is, it just said the
Yes.
dumpster.
Yeah, the northern property line and the dumpster enclosure.
Oh,
okay,
okay,
yeah,
sorry.
that's what I thought too. I thought I read
All
that.
right, sorry, Ethan. So I'm still not getting, I guess, can I just? So, right here, so when you move the property line over, you're gonna put the fence, like he has a huge tree here that's, a pine, so that's in his property. But this tree right here, it was on the line, and now it's so big that half of it's on the line and half of it's on his property. There's 8 of them, or 7 of them that go along here. They're all right on the line. So I wanna know, you're gonna put the fence on this side of the line, so really you're not moving this side, this part of the fence. Because the fence is right on, the fence is touching the trees on some parts of that.
I think the survey didn't pick up those trees for us, so we'll have to make sure that, we're not proposing much in this area.
So what you're gonna do is you're going to leave this line and then jump in the 7 feet, take my trees, and,
I think we'll have to look at it
okay.
closer.
Well, if they're on your property, they're your trees. If
No, they're
on
not.
their property, it's
Correct,
theirs.
no, I understand that, I understand that, they're right on the line.
Right.
They're gonna take them down, I understand that, take them. But what I'm saying is, are you taking all these down? Ooh, I didn't mean that. There's huge trees there.
It's these two right here. And the intent is to not, is to have.
No,
them
there's
remain.
there's not two there.
Well, they've said their intent is to not take down the mature trees that are there.
Okay, so you're not going into that property.
I think our intent is to continue to work with the neighbors and make a solution that's.
You have worked with me, but I still can't get an answer about a couple of those things, and I just feel like when the site engineer came and walked the property with me, with some woman who I have the name, he goes, oh, those trees have to go too? That's what he said to me. I go, well, that's part of the line.
Maybe, we could get together with someone just to take a look at this at some point.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We can do that.
Yeah, just give me a name and phone number for you and someone from this team.
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this project? Is there anybody online? Then I will go to our architectural consultant, and Mr. Brown, you have your comments for this project.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that we're doing site plan review here.
Correct.
Although we're interested in the building and everything about it, we're going to save comments and so forth then. I will say I appreciate how you've handled the neighborhood impact and the visual impact and the massing of the building and the articulation. It's probably better done than I've seen here before for a building of this size and sprawl. But I'm not going to go into a real architectural review on that, but I wanted to reinforce that. As it's been said, you submitted a very nice package to us, very complete, ready to dig a hole kind of thing, and I appreciate that. Regarding the building, we will want to see anything on the building, the walls, the roof, HVAC equipment on the roof, so forth. And we'll take care of that in architectural review as part of the building. Did you get a copy of my architectural review?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you're familiar with some of my concerns. I think there's a total of 7, and some of it's been touched upon already. My most significant concern, now let me ask a question. The new radiology unit out Corinth Road, which is Hudson Headwaters, are you familiar with that?
That's not our facility.
Oh, okay, yeah, I happened to be in that building. It was like I was there opening day. But at any rate, my main concern is the vehicle connection at Monroe Street. And before this meeting, sometime before, I heard a little public concern about kids in the street because of the proximity of the school and so forth. And as my notes say, I would think it would be a much safer access to the site if it's made one-way entry, because if you're driving a car in Melrose, you've got full view of the street, any kids in it, whatever the conditions are. If you're coming down out of the parking lot, it's more awkward and less safe. And considering the entire corridor and how it's used, whether it's neighborhood children or school children, I think any improvement at that side of the site would enhance the safety. I think that would not, there would be some inconvenience to you, the applicant, because you can't go both ways going out with that idea. But on the other hand, you still have a possible entry. I'm equally concerned about short-cutting traffic through the site. When people find things like that, they like to use those shortcuts and abuse them in essence. If we can make that a one-way entry, we can probably live with the fire department and public safety people and still have access to the site, and better than just a one entry site as I've seen on some of the facilities, medical facilities. So I make those 2 points about safety of the pedestrians and people in the street corridor and the neighborhood, and also the one-way shortcut, cutting off that one-way through the lot shortcut for drivers who don't want to go the extra block or so.
Could we respond or?
Yes, can we get all of Dan's comments first, and then I give you a chance to respond to them?
Perfect.
That work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me read from the script here. I wondered about the transformer, or the generator rather, and the noise that it might generate. I know it's a natural gas generator, but still I'm not familiar with the specs on those units, how much noise they generate, and so forth. And Mr. Bruno touched on that concern. I went so far as to say, well, why don't we move it to the other corner where there's a professional office building, get it further away from the residential houses that are near it. Is this going to be a permanently mounted generator or portable, brought in kind?
It'll be permanent.
Okay. So it'll have enclosures sometimes like that.
Yep.
But my primary concern is noise, and I think some of the newer units are much better than what we saw 10 or 20 years ago. The third item I had was the storm retention basin alongside LaRose Street, and the stone retaining wall there and so forth. That's the deepest basin that you have on the whole site, but it is about 4 feet deep. And with 12-inch pipes, it's not unknown for a little kid to crawl into it, or a pet or an animal to get into them. I think that it should have some kind of a screen guard on the pipe outlets to prevent that. And that should be applicable to all of the drain basins on the site if you're up in that pipe size. But especially as you get close to the neighborhood where there's going to be children playing and without supervision. And the dumpster enclosure, your detail in the drawings, number 6, shows a fence, but it doesn't specify the height or the fact that it's got to have visual slats in it, assuming it's chain link. Is it a chain link fence?
It's matching the back.
Cedar slabs.
The trash enclosure.
Yeah.
Yes, the trash enclosure
Yeah.
and the north fence are the same fence.
Oh, okay.
6-foot cedar, both sides treated the same with the slats.
I assume you can provide slats in the fence at the dumpster location to conceal it visually.
Oh, this will be an opaque fence. There's no,
Oh, okay,
it's
okay.
not, you can't see through it.
I couldn't tell that from the detail, it kind of looked like a chain link fence.
So this is, the intent is to use, it's detail 9 on L300.
Yeah,
It's, again, it's matching, same fence as the back, it's supposed to be
Okay.
very, it's a privacy fence.
well, as long as the dumpster is in a concealed compartment, that you can't look into, that's all we care about with the code and the architectural approach to it. The bolsters around the site, we have a couple dozen right out at Western Avenue, once you count the transformer and the generator and so forth. And I've seen NIMO putting in bright yellow ones in our neighborhood. And then I also traveling the Corinth Road corridor, it looks like a tank trap in places with a number of bolsters that the utility company wants and puts in. So I'm just saying, get them painted green as they are on Corinth Road, and that would be a big difference from using the bright colors. Do they install those bolsters, or do you?
I believe that you prepare the pad for National Grid when you set the pad and the bollards will be set by the contractor.
Okay, but that was my concern, just color.
Yeah, to your point, coming down Broad Street, actually coming to the meeting here, you go down Broad Street, they're all green in front of every transformer. In front of
Yeah, everything is, you know, they got the utilities underground, but then you've got a mile of it. The generator location, I already talked about that. But as I say, the Cross Street connection is much more serious than the others I have.
Yeah, so when we're developing the site plan, we intentionally placed the offset of the entrances off of Southwestern and LaRose to discourage any straight through traffic. So if we had to line this that would be a straight through path. So it was intentionally done to discourage that traffic through the site. I think the other thing that we've done is most of the parking for the PACE, since the PACE is a day program, people will be dropped off there, or I don't think anybody's been driving there. Mostly driving, or a bus, multiple.
Van in.
Yeah. So parking is really, if you look at the number of parking spots on this side, it's much less than what's on the MOB side. So the intention is to have most of the visitors that are traveling to and from the site in their own vehicles will be off Southwestern visiting the MOB.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2 deep parking spots here for the vans to accommodate that. So I think the use of this entrance should be less than off of Southwestern. And again, the offset is.
I can see the logic in that.
Yeah. So that was our thought process in putting together the site plan. As far as stormwater retention, we can use critter guards. Those are what they do. If nobody's familiar with them, they're kind of a cage that they're on a hinge. They can't push into the pipe. If something gets in there, they can come out.
Yeah, that's what was in my thought.
Yeah, and they're easy. They just bolt onto the end of the pipe section. So we can certainly include that in detail to protect the pipes if that's desired.
I can speak on the depth of the basin too. You commented that it's much deeper than all the other basins. That's really because we have to drain everything from this corner all the way down to that corner.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's that basin is gonna, during a little over 5 inches in a 24-hour period, that basin should see 9 inches of ponding that goes away in 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a deep basin. That is essential. It's just to meet the elevations to get there. The most ponding, you know, during a 100-year storm event is gonna be less than 3 feet, and again, gone in 3 to 4 hours. At Basin, we will not see a lot of water during the smaller storm events.
And as far as the bollards, I know we're kind of roped in with National Grid's bollard city around their transformers, so not too much we can say about that, but we do have landscaping that's planned around those, just help screen those areas. The bollards are there to protect the equipment.
Right.
There's a couple of bollards here at this entrance, just because again, grades were challenged, it's flat site. But I think these are being chosen as a more
Decorative,
decorative,
kind of the smaller ones.
yeah, they're not as tall, they're not 42-inch, they're 36-inch ones, just to kind of delineate the area between the drive and the
And
sidewalk.
that's used as a drop off too, so it's kind of protecting anyone walking along that sidewalk right there.
And as far as the generator, the generator is kind of located in the same, we're kind of calling this our utility corridor in the backside here, because our utility room is here, so water, gas, electrical is all coming on here, and National Grid is, as we met with them, as a team, they wanted us to come across the road here, and that just made sense to have this primary transformer and go into the building and come back out in the same duct bank to the generator at this location, instead of having it come down to here. I mean, we've discussed that, but it made more sense to keep out of the infrastructure, that stormwater infrastructure that we have here, since everything is very shallow infrastructure on site because of the degrading challenges. Is that we just keeping everything at the upper portion of the site is the thought.
Okay.
Just one last, regarding the generator, does your engineer have a specification for it yet, or some product literature?
Yeah, we could provide cut sheets for the generator.
You can see that with the architectural review, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Right.
How close is it to the one that you have on 90 South Street? Using the same model or something less?
Yeah,
It's a much bigger facility than that one, it's the same size.
That one's huge at 90 South Street.
Yeah, all this one would be even huger.
yeah, in our project specifications, we have the cut sheet and it gives the size, so we can definitely provide that.
Okay. All set?
Yep.
All right, then I will begin our questions from the board. And we'll start with Ms. Andrews.
I'm good. It seems like you covered just about everything. It was, everything more than we needed for the site plan. But, so we're on our way for the architectural reviews. Looks good.
Ms. Coney.
Yeah, my biggest thing is, privacy, protecting the neighbors in the back, but I feel like you have covered that. I second what are they called? The
Bollards.
bollards? If you can get them green, because if you notice, Mr. Brown looked at me, because National Grid tore up my yard and it's very yellow, bright yellow. Yeah, so I definitely second,
Yeah, our typical detail is a steel bollard concrete filled with a vinyl cover over it so it doesn't rust and chip off paint, so it look good for a long time.
make it better.
Every time after I buy your house,
Sticks right out. Yeah, but that's it for my questions or comments.
I know it's no consolation, but there's a reason for yellow. It's called safety yellow. So it's,
That makes sense. That actually makes sense.
people don't.
Because most of them are mashed.
I know it's
Well,
no consolation.
the nice thing about the vinyl covered ones, they have reflective strips in them
Yes,
now.
reflective strip around the outside.
They work pretty good actually.
It's because the existing ones all over town are mashed. They've been all hit and mashed.
If you drive down Main Street, the Broad Street corridor, Main Street out, when they took all of the overhead lines and put them underground, all of those are surrounded by, they put in all the transformers and all the switches and everything. And those are all surrounded by the green bollards, and they've got a reflective strip around the top of it so you can see it.
But they're messed up already.
Yeah,
It's
some of
been
them.
10 years and they're all, they're a mess.
You're all good?
I am.
You're all good? Ms. Mary?
I have to agree with Mr. Brown about the LaRose Street entrance. That was a concern to me because I think everybody who drives down the road, if you go out to LaRose or if you go out to Broad and you're trying to take a left, it's a nightmare. So what I'm envisioning is people exiting on LaRose, going towards the high school, cutting through the neighborhood out to Western, or cutting east on Montcalm, and just getting involved when there's kids walking back and forth. So I do have a concern about that. Whereas I think if it was an exit only, excuse me, they would exit, or sorry, if it was entrance only, you would get rid of that problem completely, like people cutting through the neighborhood, or cutting through Canada, which is something I've done a few times, because it's easy to get out to.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna have, I think you'll alleviate a lot of problems and a lot of, possible problems with the kids walking and some of the elderly folks across the street. If that's an entrance only, like you said, you can see what they're doing, especially if it's gonna be a less congested side of the project.
Or could you do speed bumps?
Plowing be a challenge. I mean, we can discuss with.
I know, would you?
But I think it's the street that I'm concerned about, is people coming out, going north on the roads, and pretty soon you're right up on the school, and you're either cutting, what's that stupid?
James.
Is that James? What's that?
They go to James Court's where they are, but it's the
Across
cross.
the street, that cut Carlton,
Oh.
cutting up to Western, whereas I think it's a more natural.
I think
to
that
go out to Western Avenue.
my opinion on that is when school is in session, as any of us who have had to drive in that area know, or anybody who lives in that area knows, when school is in session, any sensible person avoids that area as if it were the plague. So my gut feeling is that during the day, when this is mainly in operation, the kids will pretty much already be at school or when this is in operation for the most part. And I think that may be, the first time somebody may make a mistake and go out that way and realize that, oh, this is not the proper way to go. The proper way to go to get out is onto Western, make your left onto Western and get down to a light. That's the fastest way to get back to Broad Street. I agree with you. Anybody that goes down LaRose and tries to make a left can sit there until some kind-hearted soul allows you out to get on. If you're going down LaRose to make a right and head back, it's a little easier. But the first time you sit behind a bus that's trying to go to Southwoods Falls, yeah, exactly. Sit at Hill Electric and watch the lights dim.
Yeah, I'm just worried about cutting through the neighborhoods and trying to avoid that and going left and trying to skirt around. But other than that, the landscaping looks beautiful, and I think that's gonna be lovely. And one other question, is there the fencing on the south side of the project too, or just the north?
Just in this.
Okay.
Gateway Dermatology has it.
I think it's just the parking lot to the south, right?
Yeah.
He's got,
Oh, right.
there's trees planted there too, right? Didn't they plant trees?
So there's one residence on the corner.
It's on that front corner.
Yeah.
There's a healthy green space
That's
between.
the Toyota parking lot?
I think it's
Yeah.
right here.
And then the dermatology places, yeah. And
Yeah,
he's
the
got
residence
trees.
here.
And I finally grown.
No, 30 feet.
Right.
But that's all I have, thank you, it looks nice.
It is.
All set?
All set, thank you.
Peter?
Okay, I was concerned with the boundary plantings on the north side. He shows a lot of deciduous trees and the celebration maple and Miss Lilac, they shed in the winter, so they're not screening the houses on the north side of the north side of the property, or north side of the Bruno and other houses. So, would you consider parking, or, the Hvac arborvitae, all along the boundary, north of the boundary, boundary to the north. And then there would be, L 200.
Can I ask one question about that?
What?
I want to ask one question about that for clarification. Is the fence you're proposing outside of the landscaping, or is the landscaping outside the fence?
That was what I was looking at. So if you're standing at the Pace Center and you're looking at the fence, you have all those plantings and the fence is behind it.
So the screen fence, is the visual screen fence is behind the landscaping from Mr. Bruno's property and the Weber property. They're not even gonna see that landscaping.
They're gonna see the fence and then any growth
And
that's
maybe
above
the
it.
tops of, maybe the very tops of the trees.
You know, 6-foot fence.
Right.
The trees are 8 to 10 feet.
Right, but they're on the inside, they're on the Hudson Headwater side of the fence, not on the outside of the fence.
Yeah,
So there's not gonna be any screening provided by those trees regardless,
Well, there might be.
above, maybe above the 6-foot level, but.
I think your point is an evergreen that would grow above the 6-foot level
yeah.
from the property to the north, looking and then having that be an evergreen all year long. Is that your question?
Well, I still don't understand because, you got 4 foot additional, and, yeah, so, the matter, one side of the fence or the other side of the fence is planting along the boundary. Anyway, so, I was concerned, I was looking for, our black arborvitae along all of the northern boundaries, because they're 10 foot high. And how high do they grow? They're gonna go, they increase in height too. So, I don't know, I think that should make you, I think that northern boundary with black arborvitae is more efficient. That's all.
Yeah, we can discuss it with Wagner.
Yeah, I'd like to just follow up with our landscape architect on that one. With our landscape architect, I'd like to get them involved to address your question.
Okay. What's that?
That's it? All right. Ms. Jeff, anything from your side?
You want me to go on seeker, or you wanna, okay?
I'm opening the floor up to you.
Okay, perfect. With respect to seeker, I would classify this as an unlisted action, which requires the board to review the short environmental assessment form. Part 1 has been provided by the applicant. I would like to hope that you've all reviewed it so that you can answer the following questions. Number 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
No.
No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? No. Small impact, moderate to large impact.
I think it's small impact.
Okay. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No.
Again, I think it's a small impact.
Okay. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
No. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect the existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
Again, I think there's going to be some impact. I don't believe that it's going to be a large impact because I think this
So
is.
no or small?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this is a small impact.
Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
No. Will the proposed action impact existing, A, public-private water supplies?
No.
No. B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
I think that their stormwater plan has addressed all of those, so I think that while there will be some impact, I think that they've taken all of the steps they needed to mitigate that.
So I'm gonna put
Small
no or small impact, and I've listed swift to address.
Yep.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No. And based upon, the board's answer of no or small impact may occur, questions part 2, 1 through 11. I would state that the board could pass a resolution indicating that there would be not any significant adverse environmental impacts.
Could you issue a negative declaration?
Yes.
Then I would make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accepts lead agency status for the applicant, Hudson Headwaters Health Network, the owner of property at 38 LaRose Street and 29 to 31 Southwestern Avenue respectively. The board has determined the action to be an unlisted action. We have reviewed the short form environmental assessment form, and upon documentation and discussion, issue a negative declaration.
Second.
I think we can do this by group vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? That carries. As far as approval for site plan, I've got a few items here that I think I'd like to go through just to make sure that everybody's on board. We talked about, in architectural review, providing the HVAC locations with decibel level so that we can see that. A list or a timing of the generator, the frequency of the generator testing so that we know and timing of when that will happen. A confirmation of the hours of operation from Hudson Headwaters. Specifically right now we're saying 7 to 5, but just the confirmation of that.
With the light schedule?
Yes, yeah, and that would coincide with the lighting schedule for the ones that can be shut off. Obviously, I think some of your parking lot lighting has to remain on, but the other ones, you know, the street lighting, the lighting that would be around the building. Confirmation that the bollard covers around the equipment can be green. Cut sheets for the generator, the emergency generator. Confirmation that you'll check with the landscape people about changing that hedgerow along the north side to be all some kind of year-round evergreen tree, as a conifer tree as opposed to a deciduous tree. Was there anything else that I missed?
Can you just repeat the first one? I'm sorry.
The first one that we talked about was the location for the HVAC equipment.
Thank you.
And what was the other thing?
The trees.
Yeah, that was the last thing. Check with their landscape people to confirm that they can do something with some kind of a conifer along that north side. Yeah, something that's not a deciduous tree.
And garbage pickup after 7.
And garbage pickup must be done after 7 o'clock. That's 7 a.m.
An item in my report, which I neglected to mention, related to the stormwater basin by LaRose Street. The detail for the stone retaining wall shows a fence, but you can't find any information, or I couldn't find any information elsewhere in the drawings about it.
That was, I believe, done in error. That was a standard detail that we had that it showed the fence. There's no proposed fence right now with that stone wall.
It's meant to be just the stone.
Yeah, it's a 30, we limited it to 30 inches tall for the safety
Well,
reasons.
this fence is on, above and back from the stone wall to keep, I believe, or assume, people from falling over the edge of the stone wall.
Yeah, the detail shows that, but we're not proposing one there. That's going to be removed from the detail. It was shown in error.
I saw a row of shrubs behind there as well.
Yeah,
The landscaping plan has that fairly well detailed out as to how they're looking at protecting that area.
Yeah, the landscaping plan was put together to discourage people from wanting to walk through a hedgerow to get.
Sure.
And like we said, the 30 inches, the wall was specifically kept at a 30-inch, maximum 30 inches.
But regardless, there's no fence.
No fence.
Okay.
That'll be removed from that detail. It was shown in error.
Okay.
Did I cover all of the items? I think I got all of those.
Yeah, I want to get together with a couple of them here, contact information. Here's a copy of Mr. Brown's comments, if anybody would like to, you already got it.
Yeah.
Okay. You got my list, Mr. Brown? Again, I would like to reiterate that we've gone through some reviews here with far less information, and it's really been nice to sit and look at a decent set of drawings and to go through them and to be able to generate the types of questions that we've had, but to be able to answer them. And I think I speak for everybody here on the board when I say thank you very much for the detail that's been put into them. That being said, I would make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grants site plan approval for the project identified as, let me dig down to my next piece, Hudson Headwaters Health Network, owners of 38 LaRose Street and 29 to 31 Southwestern Avenue respectively, as presented at the meeting of 4 January 2022, with the amendments that we had listed prior. Was there any other discussion? Chris?
We still need county sign on.
Pardon?
We still need the county sign on.
You still need?
Yeah. The county.
Oh, okay.
Proximity to the.
Got it. Oh, because we're on Southwestern Avenue. That's right. And that would be subject to, also subject to the review by, or any outstanding comments from Warren County Planning Review. Anybody want to second that?
Do we have a written response from the city engineer and fire department?
We got nothing from the city engineer or the fire department on this.
I see he's retired.
But we did have testimony from the applicants that they've worked both with the fire marshal's office and the city engineer on all of this.
So we have correspondence.
I think there's been a fair amount of back and forth, especially with the fire marshal's office regarding the access and the back. And I think Chris can verify that as well. Okay?
Are they gonna submit another proposal, or another application, or just?
The items that we have listed on here would ultimately come back to Chris's office to make sure that he can verify the things that we've looked at on there. I think that the things like the HVAC, the generator noise and timing and stuff, we can deal with that at architectural review, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a proper time.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is this going in second? I think this one we should do by roll call.
Who seconded it?
Brittany.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
Yep. I think this one we should do by roll call, so Mr. Cardy?
Yeah, that's okay. Yes.
Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Colgan?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
And myself, I'm a yes. And an abstention from Chairman Bruno. So I think we've got a positive thing going here, and we will see you back for architectural review.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, appreciate you back. They have to be in for first bell at 8:20.
Yeah, I think you're on the
And they've got to be in.
All right.
They have to be in school by then. So my gut feeling is anybody who knows that area is going to go there. And honestly, people coming in from there are going to be, there's not, I don't think there's going to be that many people coming in there. I think most of the people in. Wait, we're still on. We're still rolling. I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Mr. Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Very good job. Very good. Thank you.
It's like trying to hurt kittens.
Yeah.
I don't think Tina's very happy with me, but
That's okay. I'll smooth it.
I'll smooth it over next time I talk to you. It's kind of stormed out of here.
Okay, the last item we have on today's agenda is the review of our suggested amendments to the city zoning code. We're going to review those, but I want to hold off on that if you don't mind. The reason being, Mr. Green left the board and I neglected, I want to talk to him and get his comments, because I think he had some. Additionally, Mr. Fitzgerald, I think, may have had, he put this together, he and I, but he had, I just want to make sure I got everything.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. Appreciate that. Other than that, does anyone have any other business? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Did you ask one of your colleagues to get me the contact? I saw. I got it all. You got it? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Tina Nail will be back with something.
She needed a.
Sorry to throw that in your lap.
No, I saw.
So we are adjourned.
Yes.